Yeah. It's time. Okay. Hello. Welcome to the Go Grab That Day podcast. Today, as always, we have an MMA recap. I hope everybody's doing well. Hope you're all staying sane. Lockdowns are finally lifting by the sounds of things, or at least restrictions are lifting slightly, which is good. So, finally, some positive news. So hope everyone's sanity is still in check before they finally get some freedom. I'm delighted to hear it, and I'm sure you are too, especially back home in beautiful Ireland. So we've plenty of fights and news and stuff to get into as always. And as always, please keep liking, keep sharing, keep subscribing is the most important thing. Massive thanks to people who have given. There's been quite a boost on the page in the last few weeks. Thanks to some of the interviews I've done, which is great. But please, the most important thing is the views are brilliant, which is good to see. But as I've often said, the subscribers are so big in terms of me being able to get other good guests on. Unfortunately, that's what they always check. They're looking for how many subscribers you get, because that's where they get the publicity, I suppose. So yeah, please just keep, anyone that hasn't subscribed, please subscribe. It's free, it's not going to cost you, and just hit that big fucking red button and help pump up the numbers. I appreciate it though. Like I've said, the numbers the last few weeks have had a nice little jump, and still not where I want it to be, but it's getting there. It's going to keep climbing slowly. It's just, I'm patient. So thank you guys, I really appreciate it. But just like I said, any of you that do watch or follow even if you don't follow it, just be nice, give me a subscribe. It's not going to cost you anything. Like I said, I appreciate it. And that's it. Quickly check out our affiliates. We have, as I've always said, Mystique jerseys, great selection of jerseys and great gift ideas and stuff like that for birthdays, communions, weddings, whatever you want to get a gift for. Check them out. We have the link in our Instagram bio. Use the promo code GOGRABTHATDAY, all caps, and you get a percentage off. And we also have PPT Fitness and Nutrition. We have an affiliation with them, and we have a link to one of their programs in our Instagram bio. Plenty of other programs there. Hit me up or hit up PPT Nutrition themselves. But we have one of the programs linked on our Instagram. Go check it out. Anyway, let's talk about violence. So first we have the card, UFC Fight Night, Reyes versus Prochazka. I don't know if for any of you that was paying attention, I had given this guy the nickname Prozac because he puts people to sleep. It's just the only reason I picked that nickname was because his actual name is hard to pronounce. But I'm not going to do that anymore because he has kind of put a little bit of a shine on himself with the way he performed at the weekend. Anyway, I won't get into that yet. Start off top to bottom. I'm getting ahead of myself. Relax, chill the fuck out. Prelims. There was a lot of good fights on this card, but I'm going to skip down a little bit like I always do because I'm an asshole and I can't spend too much time talking about everyone. A lot of decisions on the prelim cards, but good fights. I know there's a little bit of controversy with the TJ Brown and Kai Kamaka fight. It's probably one of those. I can see why there's a little bit of argument towards the decision, but I was given to Kai Kamaka, but it was a back and forth fight, so I'm one of those that you can kind of argue for or against. I kind of see why they're arguing for TJ Brown, but anyway, skipping on, the one I wanted to talk about just for a few minutes was the Randa Marcos and Luana Pinheiro fight. For those that don't know, this fight ended in a DQ for Randa Marcos for an illegal upkick. It was accidental, definitely, but careless is what I would say. Pinheiro was kind of in Marcos' guard, and Marcos did well by pushing her away with one leg, but then she upkicked with the other, caught her pretty clean. I know the commentary team and some fans online have been kind of talking about maybe Pinheiro was playing the ref a little bit. Again, I kind of see why, because her immediate reaction looked a bit with it at first and then fell back, but in my opinion you have to give fighters the benefit of the doubt in that situation, because if you look at it, Pinheiro was probably winning that fight, or at the very least, I think she was winning. I think she was looking way better in the striking. But at the very least, she was in the fight. You know what I mean? Had no reason to con the ref to try and get away out. I didn't see anyway. And again, like this isn't football. You know what I mean? I'm a massive football fan, as I've always said, but this isn't football where you get a big advantage by diving like a prick. Yeah, like it's not football. These guys are, you're a different breed when you're stepping into the cage and against another animal as a pro fighter. You know, you have a certain different mentality. I don't see. Well, I say that, but then there is some fighter. You look back at Josh Koscheck against Paul Daly, who completely fooled the ref, and Josh Koscheck would have been a veteran like at that time. So I suppose you can say that some fighters do it, but I still think you got to give them the benefit of the doubt unless it's clear cut, because Paul Felder, I think it was Paul Felder or Bisping, said on the live commentary, they were kind of doubting that maybe she might have been conning the ref, and it did look like that at first. But when you see the aftermath, her eyes, she just didn't look like she was with it. And she did ask them, I think at one point she had asked her team what happened, did I lose or did I get knocked out? So it is a strange situation, but I think unless it's clear cut, you have to give them the benefit of the doubt. And of course it's harsh on Randa Marcos, because you see she was visibly upset afterwards with the DQ. But that's what you got to do. I mean, you got to disqualify her, I suppose. I know they were saying that maybe they just go to the scorecards, but I think you can only do that after round 2. But either way, you got to get punished, you know what I mean? So if you're careless like that, Randa Marcos is doing it a long time as well. But at the same time, you're in a fight. I mean, look at guys like Eddie Alvarez, who's got caught out a couple of times with these kind of decisions that are there or thereabouts. And Eddie Alvarez has often said, like, when he's in a fight, that's his mentality. He's in a fight to win. Like, it's you're trying to beat me, I'm trying to beat you. That's all he thinks about. You still got to follow the rules. I get all that, I know, but it's just when you're in that mentality, it's hard to always be thinking of the rule set, you know, especially when they're them kind of, like with the up kick, it wasn't a totally vicious, like if she was on the ground and she threw a soccer kick, then you'd be like, you know, fuck that. But when it's an up kick, especially when she pushed away with the first one, she didn't mean it, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think people got to give Luana Pinheiro the benefit of the doubt. Just, she is a fighter. Like, at the end of the day, she's getting in a cage. She knows what she's doing. She's not. You can't call her a pussy. You call women a pussy? Coward. I'll put a pin in that one. And you can't call her a coward or, you know, chicken or whatever you want to call her. I've seen, you know, a lot of comparisons online being made between her and why can I never think of this guy's name? Funkmaster. Oh my god. Yeah, Funkmaster. That dropped for the knee with Piotr Jan a while back. People are comparing her to him. Aljamain Sterling. Sorry, guys. For some reason that name always evades my brain. But yeah, people were comparing her to Aljamain Sterling, saying, you know, she faked just like he did, even though I don't think he did either. But anyway, the point being, I think you got to give her the benefit of the doubt. It was a hard kick to the face, and albeit whatever you make of her immediate reaction afterwards, she didn't look like she was with it. And not to mention, like, she started crying at one point as well. So unless she's a fucking great actress outside of fighting, I think you got to give her the benefit of the doubt. She's a shame. Then moving along to the main card. So, kicking off the main card, what do we have? Every time I see this guy's name, Merab Dvalishvili, it makes me laugh after I don't know that I talk about it on the podcast, but I definitely shared it on the Instagram, where he was swimming in, I think it was in New York somewhere. Merab trains with Aljamain Sterling's team, Matt Serra, Ray Longo. I think it's the same team, but he was going for a swim, trying to go for a cold swim in New York, and was going to an icy lake or icy whatever it was, and decided to dive in, but didn't check that there wasn't a layer of ice on top of the water, and of course there was. Cracked his fucking head open, But the video, it's on his Instagram. I'm pretty sure I've spoke about it here, but if not, I've shared it on the Go Grab That Day Instagram. It's hilarious. You see his reaction afterwards, how stupid he was, but he's a funny dude. And not only that, I have definitely said this before, his Vilashvili's cardio is, in my opinion, the best in the UFC. It is insane. And it showed in this fight. It was such a good fight between both guys. Sorry, I should be saying Cody Stamen as well. His cardio was unbelievable as well in that fight, and I also shared that on the Twitter. I said, like, if you're someone who's never seen MMA, this would have been a good fight to kind of have a look at and get a good gauge. The pace, from the striking to the grappling to everything, you got a bit of everything in it. But most importantly, the high pace that the two guys put on, neither of them slowing down. And Dvalishvili is how I should pronounce his name. Sorry. Dvalishvili with the win in the end, which I thought was fair, but good fight on both sides. But he's one of my guys to keep an eye on for that division. I think he's only getting better, and I think his cardio is a problem, as Kamaru Usman would say. It's a problem for people. Just that pace he puts on you, and you see every time a fight ends, he's still full of energy, still running. Usually he's running around the cage. Sometimes he finishes a fight by doing push-ups, which I have seen him doing. But fun character. He's a guy I'm kind of keeping an eye on a lot lately, and looking forward to seeing him climb the ranks a bit more and get some big fights. Same with Cody Stamen. Cody Stamen's a good fighter too, with heavy hands. I just think Dvalishvili has that a little bit more. I think his Dvalishvili striking is improving all the time, and what I like about him is he likes to mix it up. He'll throw low kicks, leg kicks. He'll throw high kicks. He'll use his hands. Then he'll mix up his takedowns, and he's no problem throwing in a bit of everything. Which, when you got that cardio, like, your cardio is a weapon. You know what I mean? Your cardio is a part of your arsenal in MMA. Especially when you have cardio like that, you look at guys like the Diaz brothers. Even like I said, Kamaru Usman, guys like that. But I still think Dvalishvili has got the most sickening cardio out of any guy. Like, he could share it amongst the division and still be the fittest. But yeah, quality. Great fight. My favourite fight on the card, I think. No, that's not true. Sorry, the main event. But it was a good fight. Moving on. We had Krzysztof Jotko versus Sean Strickland. This is a good fight too. Sean Strickland pretty much just controlled the fight, in my opinion. I thought Jotko kind of didn't do enough, in my opinion. I just thought he kept backing up an awful lot. I think Teddy Atlas tweeted about how Sean Strickland was such like, his striking was just so pure. I think is what Teddy Atlas has said, and it was like there was nothing fancy about it. He just literally walked you down, and everything was very technical and stuff like that. Good win. I just thought Jotko could have done a little more, but yeah, great win for Strickland, and he's a guy who's quietly putting together a win streak now, or has put together a win streak. Is he going to make a big dent in that division? I don't think so. I just don't. I think he's good, but just not good enough. It's the only way I could put it. But that was a fun fight too. Great win for Strickland. Strickland's another guy who's been around quite a while. But yeah, moving along. Then we had, I hate the way they pronounce this guy's name. It was Kudalaba, but to me I thought it was Ian Kudalaba. Now they're calling him Ion. So I'm just going to call him Kudalaba. Against Dustin Jacoby. And as usual in Kudalaba's fights, there's always a bit of hostility, a bit of bad blood. He tends to always spark a bit of something with his fights, and I'm sure people have seen that he kind of grabbed, what would they call it, collar tied. Kind of grabbed the back of Dustin Jacoby's neck during the weigh-ins. A lot of people complaining because obviously a couple of weeks ago it happened with Jeremy Stephens and Drakkar Klose, where Drakkar Klose had to pull out of the fight because Jeremy Stephens pushed him and he hurt his neck. So yeah, maybe I did argue against the point like people needed to relax on Jeremy Stephens. I still think they need to relax. He did just push the guy, but maybe the UFC need to kind of start telling these boys, because I didn't like the way Kudalaba grabbed Jacoby. Like literally collar tied him, pulled him in. I think you're pushing it a little bit there. No pun intended. But I like the build. I like the getting in each other's face. Maybe a push or shove here or there. But I think relax on the collar ties and things like that, because you could spark a fucking brawl there as well. And credit to Dustin Jacoby, because he was real cool when that happened. Most fighters would have put hands on him or done something. But in terms of the fight, really good fight. It ended in a draw, which I thought was a 100% a fair decision. Kudalaba had pretty much dominated the first round, as he tends to do. He tends to push a heavy pace, heavy pressure in 1 or 2 rounds, and then kind of slows down. He did that in this fight, but not as big as he's done in previous fights. I mean, his slowing down part. He slowed down a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. It didn't affect him too much. He seemed to still keep enough of a wind. Whilst in saying that, I thought Dustin Jacoby didn't do enough. Again, I know I'm critical here, but I thought when Kudalaba slowed down, Dustin Jacoby could have done a little more, because he's got better striking. And I thought at parts visibly Kudalaba slowed down, and then he would kind of get a second wind again. But there was stages there in the fight where I thought Jacoby could pick up the pace and finish it. Again, it was a fun fight, and I will say Kudalaba's endurance and his cardio looked a little better in this fight, so I'd imagine he's been working on it. But good fight, ended in a draw, fair decision. First round was a 10-8. So yeah, I think it was a fair decision. Most likely they'll probably run it back. It would be the right thing to do when a fight ends in a draw. So it'll be fun to see that again, because it was a fun fight. I just think Jacoby could have turned up the pace a little bit, or just done a little bit more. But listen, it's easier said than done when you're in against a guy like fucking Kudalaba, who's a madman. So moving on, then we had the co-main event, which is Giga Chikadze versus Cub Swanson. This Chikadze is a guy definitely to keep an eye on. There's been a lot of talk about him since he came to the UFC, because he's a very exciting striker. I thought Cub Swanson was going to be a big test for him, because Cub is obviously a vet now, been around the game a long time. He's got a very well-rounded game. Nice striking with some great jiu-jitsu. But no, Chikadze just put him away early with a kick to the liver. Nasty kick. And I mean, Cub Swanson's a tough dude, so it takes a lot to do that. But yeah, Chikadze striking is very nice to see, and he's another Georgian, I believe, is where they're from, just like Dvalishvili. I believe they're both from the same area. So yeah, it's exciting. He's an exciting prospect. The featherweight division, which already has plenty of excitement there and plenty of talent. So he's got some nice fights coming up. I know in the post-fight, or the post-fight interview, he called out Max Holloway and Calvin Kattar. I think he pumped the brakes a little bit there for a number of reasons. For one, I don't know if he's ready. Could be. Listen, I didn't think he was ready for Cub Swanson, but Cub Swanson is still not one of those boys, I think pumped the brakes a little bit definitely on Max Holloway, on both, because not only do I not think he's ready, he hasn't earned that shot yet. I think he's got to do a lot more before he gets those boys. Now, in saying that, I'd heard some talk about him looking at Yair Rodriguez, which that's more like it. That's a fun fight, and that's more like where he should be looking, in my opinion. And listen, some guys are too eager to jump the queue. Take your time, work your way up through the division, and earn your stripes and earn your, gain some experience and stuff like that. I know Chikadze is an experienced guy anyway, but I mean, still, this is the UFC. You don't want to put your foot on the gas too much, and then end up on a 2-fight skid or a 3-fight skid before you know it. It's easy to happen. 6 months to a year is a long time in the UFC and in the MMA game, and things can change rapidly. But great win, no doubt about that. And I like the Yair Rodriguez fight. I would like to see that, two fun strikers. And then moving on to the madness of the main event. There's a lot to talk about here, but with Reyes and Yuri Prochazka, I was hoping Reyes would win this because I wanted to kind of see him back in, the title picture and stuff like that. I thought Prochazka was gonna cause him issues, but I thought Reyes' technique and stuff like that would see him through. Prochazka is an entertaining fighter. It's got to be said. I saw someone compare him to El Kikuy, Tony Ferguson, it's a pretty good comparison, to be fair. He's got that wild thing about him, but I do think he gets hit, I suppose, just like Tony Ferguson. Gets hit way too much. I mean, he got stunned against Volkan Ozdemir, and he got hit. He took some heavy shots off Dominic Reyes in this fight too. Got stunned at one point. But yeah, he's fun, no doubt about it. The only thing I will say is, while watching the fight, I was kind of already thinking of the podcast, and I was being critical of him. I was saying, I don't like the way he's wild and stuff like that. But in the post-fight interview, he had said that, he was critical of himself, which I like to see. I like this because he was kind of shaking his head, and his English is still needs improvement because it didn't understand some of what Paul Felder was asking him. But at points you could see he was unhappy with the win, and it's a massive win. But he was unhappy and he was critical of himself, which I like to see. It means that he understands he needs to improve, and he said that too. He said that, that I am improving, and he talked about how he didn't like the fact he got hit, which kind of didn't change my mind about him, but I like to see that, because 100% there's something there with this guy. He's fun. He's crazy. He's that ball, like a ball of fury, big fucking light heavyweight ball of absolute fury, and it's just you don't know what he's going to come out with. He's got the crazy hairstyle. He's got just everything he does. To be honest, I know people say Tony Ferguson. It's like a Tony Ferguson mixed with the madness of a Diego Sanchez kind of thing. Because he comes out doing the weird, like, karate kid kind of stances and stuff like that. Fun guy, and good point that someone as well made on, I can't remember where I saw that someone made on Twitter or on Instagram or something, that he's only 28. The champ, Jan Blachowicz, I think is 38. Something like that, 38, 39. The next challenger for the title, which is, come on, brain. Glover Teixeira. Yes. He's 40 or 41. So you think of this guy coming up in the division who's only 28. Has already kind of got that air of title challenger to him, or they're talking about him as a title challenger anyway. At 28, still plenty of room for improvement. The only thing is he gets hit a lot. And I think a key against him might be forward pressure, because I know that Dominic Reyes allowed him to pressure him throughout the entire fight. I say entire fight, for the 2 rounds, sorry, but Reyes had backed up for a lot of it. Now he was doing well. Like I'll get on to Dominic Reyes in a minute, because albeit he lost in a bad way, I was super impressed with some of the things he did too. I just think maybe a forward pressure, like I see like a Jan Blachowicz with his good technique and his big, wide forward pressure might be a problem. But at the same time, it's such a hard guy to fucking prepare for. Like Prochazka is just it's hard to prepare for everything he does. You don't know what he's going to come out with. His striking is so weird. It's Kevin Holland-ish, you know what I mean? Yeah, Kevin Holland-ish, but I have the same. I almost think he's better than Kevin Holland striking wise, but at the same time, both of them still have. I'm not as high on their striking as what other people are. That's just the way I am. I'm not as high on Kevin Holland striking as people are. Not as high on this guy, except, again, I like how critical he is of himself. There's some things I do like there, and I still think he's improved a little bit from the last fight. If he improves more, gets hit less, then you're looking at a dangerous title contender. Yeah, so I can be a little bit critical of as I said, him and Kevin Holland. But so much fun to watch. Just yeah, it's crazy. It's a ball of fury. It's the only thing I would call it. But there's things about him that he does. Like again, while I was watching this fight, I was critiquing a lot of him. But then he does some things that are so amazing to watch, like the finish. Before I get to the actual finish itself, going on to Dominic Reyes, I thought Reyes showed some serious heart in this fight. He made me want him to win. You know, I was not really I kind of was supporting Reyes in this fight a little bit. I just wanted to see him, you know, because he had such a close fight with John Jones. I wanted him to get back maybe with a title shot, or, you know, but of course he's already lost to Yan, so it's hard to vouch for that as well. But anyway, I thought he showed amazing heart in this fight. Every time, like, Prochazka would have him in trouble and he'd look a little, you know, not necessarily dazed, but look like he'd taken a hard shot, Reyes would immediately stop Prochazka in his steps. You know, he would stop him in terms of as he was coming forward, maybe for that finishing blow or for another to finish out a combination. Reyes would land something to halt it or just push him back with his left hand, and he was catching him a few times. The only thing is, as I said, I thought Reyes backed up a lot. I thought he backed up a bit too much, but he was trying to catch him on the counter, so I can understand, and he did catch him sometimes. A lot of other guys would have gone out to the shots that Reyes landed. And yeah, I thought he showed great heart, especially because early on he got I don't really get his nose broken, but his nose has been previously broken and he was leaking a lot of blood out of the nose, so possibly another break, or if not, piss and blood anyway. But yeah, showed great heart, showed great. Yeah, he was in the fight. There's no doubt about it. He was taking more damage, but he was still in the fight, and it was such a fun fight. Though for 2 rounds, like, it was so much fun to watch. But then the finish, my God, it was such a vicious knockout. Like, I always talk about, I love elbows. I don't think elbows are used enough in MMA. I don't think they're used enough. Obviously, some fighters use them more than others, but they're such a good tool, in my opinion. Such a good tool to use, such a dangerous tool to use. And like the finish, I love the Prochazka threw the first elbow. I think he kind of glanced, but to throw the first and then turn and follow up with the other one, I mean, yikes. And it was vicious. The knockout was bad enough. It was bad enough because as soon as he touched him, Reyes was out. But the problem was Reyes fell. So Reyes was out cold, fell, and his neck was loose. And I was surprised they didn't focus on, well, I suppose they don't have to, but his head was loose and he crashed into the canvas kind of with his, for someone who's had a neck injury, it made me cringe, and it makes me cringe even thinking about it now. And yeah, I didn't like it. It worried me. If you imagine, like, his neck just came down like that and kind of bounced out. It was, yeah, it's not nice to see. But anyway, great finish and a serious knockout, unbelievable. I have a feeling Dominic Reyes is going to be out for a while after this. I think he was badly hurt. Obviously, he got knocked out cold, and that's 2 in a row, I believe, knockouts, is it? Or did he win his last? Shit, I can't remember. But anyway, he's had a couple of knockouts, and you have to imagine the war he had with John Jones as well, you know. This knockout had me, like, it looked bad. It looked bad the way he landed. He was out for quite a while. He was face down for a little while. And even when he was back up and talking a little bit, he was sitting on the stool for quite a while. And as Prochazka came over, kind of showing a lot of respect, which he did, you could see Reyes was not there. He was, you know, kind of bowing to him and all that, but he just looked frail on the chair. He looked fucked. He looked pretty out of it. Hopefully he's okay, but that was a vicious bad knockout, and the way he landed in particular was what had me a little worried. So yeah, I don't know. Just in them heavier divisions, you see a guy getting a few knockouts, especially a vicious one like this. I'd like to see him maybe take a little time off, just recover well, maybe go back to the drawing board, You know, sometimes a war like that with guys, you know, I said this previously, that sometimes you go through fights like that with guys like John Jones. You know, you see like the Gustafsson fight with John Jones. Just any of those wars, think of like the fights between DC and Stipe, you know, a lot of the time those fights can improve you, or, you know, they take a part of you. You leave some of yourself in those fights. And you wonder if that happened with Dominic Reyes, because after the Jones fight, he hasn't looked as good as he did in the Jones fight, in my opinion. But it could also just be damage. It could be a lot of things. Maybe not enough time off. I don't know. By no means would I call for Reyes to retire or anything like that, because he still looked good in this fight. Just, you're fighting a ball of fucking unpredictable energy. But yeah, that knockout, I'd like to see Reyes definitely take some time off and recover, go back to the drawing board, spend a little time doing some, you know, light training, whatever it is. That was a bad one. The way he landed it was so, fuck. Like, I can watch that leg break from last week, Chris Weidman. I can't watch it with ease. Like, it was vicious to see, but when you see something like that, when you see a guy landing on his head that way, it's just, you know the damage it can cause. So I just hope there's no long-term damage with Reyes on that one. Hopefully he recovers well, takes his time. Yeah, he'll be back, and he's still a problem for a lot of guys in that division, but just take your time, please. As for Prochazka, who next? I know apparently they're giving him the winner of the Teixeira and Blachowicz fight, which I suppose he's earned it, but I don't know. I don't know if it's a bit too soon. You know, but I suppose that division, it needs a bit of young blood as well. But he's got Rakic in that division too. He could fight. He's got some other, but Rakic, I don't know. I don't know. Interesting fight though. Whoever he fights, I mean, he's one of these guys that everybody's just going to want to watch, and I can understand why they're talking about a title shot from, because that just unpredictable madness that he has. He won me over a little bit after that fight. I was looking at him more like another Johnny Walker kind of thing. You know, this guy was a lot of fun, but he's never going to get to that dance. You know, he's never going to get to the dance for the belt or wherever, or those really big fights. This one he won me over a little bit. Not so much with his performance. With his performance, obviously, but also with his like I said, his critique of himself and stuff like that. I like that. I like to see a guy critique himself, because it means he probably is really working on improving his game, and the fact that he was so unhappy that he got hit. I like those kind of things. So Captain Prozac is winning me over a little bit. But a fun guy. That I'll finish on that. Like, he's super fun to watch. Definitely cannot wait to see his next fight, whatever they do. For some reason, looking forward to next week's fight card. This website, the UFC website, is not showing me any of the fights. I don't know why. I know Dillashaw has pulled out. It's supposed to be Corey Sandhagen for TJ Dillashaw. Dillashaw has pulled out with a cut to the head, a headbutt in training or something like that, which is a shame. I was looking forward to see his return. But yeah, oddly enough, the website is not showing whether they're filling that slot or what's happening. But anyway, I can talk about that again. But yeah, that was a pretty fun card. It's hard to live up to the card last week, but anyway, these things happen. But the talking point will be Yuri Prochazka, that's for sure. A couple of other things to talk about. Oh, I cannot wait to talk about this. I've been mad to talk about this all week. Is the Diego Sanchez saga. I suppose for those who don't know, Diego Sanchez has been let go from the UFC after, I believe, he was 16 years with the UFC. I know you're talking about a guy who won tough one, you know what I mean? Just madness considering fighters, so many fighters after him that appeared on Tough have retired since, and so many guys from that season of Tough have long since retired from MMA. such a big story to all of this shit. I think it's such a shame because, you know, Sanchez was supposed to kind of have his retirement fight against Cowboy Cerrone, which I liked that fight. I liked it for both guys, you know, rather than feeding him some up and coming monster. But of course, for anyone that hasn't been paying attention, obviously this fight was due to go ahead on, I believe it was the 8th of May, which next week's card, is it? Yeah, it would have been next week's card. But it got pulled. Something happened where Diego Sanchez's coach, this fucking clown, I'm going to do a lot of swearing in this part, so forgive me, but this fucking moron, absolute, it's just, I don't know what to even say about him, but he's such a clown. Supposedly he called the UFC demanding, well, asking for all of Diego Sanchez's medical records and stuff like that because they wanted to look into any issues Diego may have or whatever. And of course that's it, puts up a red flag for the UFC going, oh shit, what's up with Diego Sanchez? So I think one of the UFC's lawyers or something like that, Sean Shelby, Hunter Campbell, one of those guys, one of the matchmakers or one of those guys contacted Sanchez's team saying, listen, obviously we're worried there's something wrong with Diego. If you're looking for all the medical records, you know, can you verify or can you let us know if he's okay? And Diego's a lawyer apparently, and this dickhead Joshua Fabia went in a roundabout way and not actually telling the UFC, oh no, he's okay, he's fine, he's good to fight. So of course the UFC scrapped that fight, and they ended up pulling Diego from, getting rid of him from the UFC. But there was a number of reasons for this, obviously. I'm going to bounce around a lot of this because I'm not exactly sure how the timeline of all this worked out, because Sanchez's team released a lot of it on Instagram after he had been obviously released from the UFC. But there's a call on Diego Sanchez. All of this, and for anyone that's curious, all of this is on Diego Sanchez's Instagram, all the stuff that he put up to supposedly help himself, which I think he completely hindered himself really. But anyway, he puts up a phone call between, it's this Joshua Fabia, I believe it's Sean Shelby and Hunter Campbell, but the guy on the phone to Joshua Fabia is their lawyer, the UFC lawyer, who they talk like they've spoken to each other a lot of times anyway. But basically the lawyer was saying, look, you're looking for all of Diego's records for the last 16 years. You know that that's not in our place. It's not the UFC that has that. It's like the Athletic Commission and stuff like that, which sounds about right. And then this Fabia guy had said, oh no, look, Diego's fine, we're just looking for his records because, you know, if Diego's any hand issues or anything like that, we need to go and see, you know, we don't want to have to go and get fresh x-rays and stuff like that, which is stupid because, like, I get what he's saying about the records. It's good to have the records, there's no doubt about that. But if you're going to get anything checked, I know from getting fucking stupid injuries myself checked, that you have to get a fresh MRI, a fresh x-ray, whatever it may be. It's always good to have your records, no doubt about that. But yeah, so it just didn't help the case, and you know, they were making a big deal about how he was trying to say, oh, because when Diego is, you know, we know Diego's coming to the end of his career and we don't want to have to go back to try and get all this stuff when he's retired because we're not going to be able to. And like they said on this phone call, they said, listen, if Diego has any issues, you let us know, we'll look after him, it's no problem. And from what I hear, when you're a part of the UFC, especially a name like Diego Sanchez, they do look after you. If you have any injuries or stuff like that, they give you the best doctors, they send you to the best places. And apparently, like Dana White came out himself saying that he's always had a great relationship with Diego Sanchez. There's never been any issues. Again, it's just this moron who's gotten in between, this fucking clown. So anyway, that's one part, so set that piece aside. Then Diego releases a video from Fight Island when it was some fight that Diego, I can't remember which fight he was having on Fight Island, but he was doing an interview with Paul Felder, Megan O'Leary, John Anik, Angela Hill and a couple of others. You couldn't see them all in the video. Doing his interview, his pre-fight interviews and talking and stuff like that, and it was a good interview. And again, these videos are on Diego's Instagram, but the interview is going fine, it's all good. Diego's talking away, he gets up, he's saying goodbye, and all of this has been recorded by a phone. The on the Jesus Christ, let's try that word again. On the perspective through this video, it's been recorded. All of this been recorded on this whoever's phone it is. I don't know, is it Diego's, is it Joshua Fabius? But all you see is Diego having the interview. Then as it ends and Diego's about to get up and leave, this dickwad Joshua Fabius goes, hold on there a second, steps in. Then you see him come into the frame, and he starts talking to all the guys, like a real kind of passive aggressive attitude or condescending in the way he spoke. He's like, we need to cut all the bullshit. You need to start showing this guy some respect. If you have any questions for me, or if you have any doubts about me, whatever, goes on and on, kind of talking, like basically telling him to stop shitting on him, his teachings and stuff like this. Credit to Paul Felder. I've always liked Paul Felder, but credit to him when he turned around and he said, listen, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And of course, Fabia then backs down. He's like, oh, same passive aggressive bullshit. This goes on for must go on for 10, 15 minutes. Just keeps talking, and Megan Levy at one point kind of has an argument with him. She's saying, listen, we're here to do our job. We're supposed to be interviewing fighters. We have not said anything about you or Diego. Just looking for any reason to be on the camera to start basically getting his name out there, because he's not a good fucking coach. Look at any of his videos. And this is not me shitting on him because, I'm a UFC fan and all this. This guy has a record. Like, I'll get through it, as much of it as I can in the next few minutes, but look at his training videos. They're bullshit. I put together a better training video myself, and I have had one fucking fight, and I've done minimal training as a pro. I've not done no training as a pro, actually, put it that way. So this video, it almost looks like a sketch or a skit. The stuff he has up, it's fucking insane. The stuff he's been saying to Diego when he's been in his corner. He's not a good coach. Point blank, he has every right to be shit on because he's not a good coach. Then he goes and he does this stuff. He's coming up saying, you need to stop shitting on my... And talking to people like he has earned this big name as a coach. He's coached Diego for 3 fights, I believe. Diego Sanchez has a 16-year UFC career, and he's talking like he's been in Diego's corner all along. As he has not earned the right. Some of the best coaches in the UFC, your Trevor Whitmans, your Henry Hoofs, listen, there's heaps of them. Go to the ATT guys, aka fucking Jason Perillo. Rarely, very rarely do you see them get up on interviews. Jason Perillo, I don't know when I've ever seen him do an interview. Trevor Whitman, yes, here or there. Henry Hoof, very rare. These are some of the top coaches in the game, but they don't need to get up on the fucking thing to say, oh, you need to start showing... No, because people know who the good coaches are, because their fighters are winning. Their fighters are showing improvement. Their fighters are champions, Not some fucking vet coming to and a great fighter, Diego, don't get me wrong. The problem, I am so annoyed about this because it puts a bad light on Diego. Diego's a legend in the UFC. He's been entertaining for years. From the day he started to even when he's finished lately. Not looked as good, of course. Quite glad he's retiring, if I'm being honest, just for his legacy. But this Joshua Fabi is a leech. He's a parasite. I cannot stand these guys who come in living off the blood and sweat of a legendary fighter like Sanchez. And as I'm saying, you look at his videos, his training videos, his school is the School of Self-Aware, something like that. So the name, for starters, is a little weird. Some of his training videos where you see one where he's on a bag, he's hitting a bag, and I mean, none of it looks like it has anything to do with the UFC. It makes no sense what he's doing. Nothing to do with boxing, nothing to do with MMA. And then there's another training video where he's chasing guys with a knife in the cage. Real shit. Go check it out. It's up there. None of it makes any sense. He's put up these videos where self-defense against fighting 2 guys, and it's all this fucking old, like the shit you'd see out 20 years ago where guys were, moving you with their chi. He's one of these fucking morons, and people are actually, well, I don't think people are believing him, but what he's trying to sell, I don't know. Why Diego Sanchez is with him, I don't know. But there was another time where a while back it was going around on YouTube where this guy pulled Matt Serra. Started questioning Matt Serra about how you don't show me any respect and stuff like this, and just the way Paul Felder did, Matt Serra said, I don't know who the fuck you are. I've never spoken about you before. What are you talking about? He's this guy who feels like he deserves some sort of respect off everybody for some reason. Where he thinks he's earned his respect, I don't know. Show somebody where you've earned your respect. Your school is shit. Your teachings are shit. Your fighter is fucking doing shit because he's coming to the end of his career. I mean, I think he has... The only fighters I know he has are, I think, Sanchez. I think Emil Meek trains with him. Emil Meek, good fighter, don't get me wrong. Not a champion. Has lost as many fights as he has won, I believe. Now, that may be a little harsh on Emil Meek, but I'm just saying, you don't go around demanding respect until you have some reason to demand it. And to be going around questioning guys like Daniel Cormier, Matt Serra, Paul Felder, Megan O'Leary, John Anik, guys who are in the sport doing their fucking job, some of them who've earned their right to be there, DC, Serra, fucking Paul Felder, these are guys who have fought much more than this dickhead ever has and ever will. And just be going around doing all that, and then these videos are all coming out, and he had another video up where he's shouting into the phone saying how, oh, we're coming through the airport back from Fight Island and Diego had to go to the bathroom and the UFC left without him, and you know, we're here now by ourselves. Diego has to eat out of a vending machine. You're fucking lucky you're allowed to travel, you prick. Like, you're lucky you're allowed to even travel during these crazy times. People are locked into their countries. This guy's complaining because, oh, poor Diego has to eat out of a vending machine. Fucking... So what? Maybe don't get fucking separated from the pack if you want to be treated the way all the other fighters are. You know, this guy, I don't know who he thinks Diego Sanchez is, for starters. Like I said, Diego's a legend. Absolute legend, but he's been on a big skid for a long time. And coming to the end of his career for quite a while too. But now, Joshua Fabio walks into the picture, thinks he's earned all this, or he deserves all this respect. It infuriates me. I never thought somebody would piss me off as much as Stephen A. Smith has. But this guy is a parasite. I think Dana White called him a parasite. And it's the best word for him. He's a fucking parasite, a worm. And I cannot wait to see his bullshit crumble beneath him. Because he is shit on the legacy of Diego Sanchez. 100%. And Diego Sanchez is a fucking moron too. Because he should see through all this. He's been around the game a long time. You see, the problem is, you wonder, how is Diego Sanchez's mental state, you know, after all the fights he's had and stuff like that. Another moron of the fucking week, a guy who I used to have a lot of respect for, is Stephan Bonnar. Stephan Bonnar, who was also a part of Tough One, long since retired. Or I don't know how long he's been retired anyway. Fair enough, he hasn't done too much bitching and stuff like that, but he is supporting this Joshua Fabia. So lost a lot of respect for Stephan Bonnar. I lost a lot of respect for Sanchez too, because I just think you need to be smarter than that. You see guys like Rashad Evans, who was writing under the videos that Sanchez had put up, basically saying, listen, get away from this guy, get this guy away from you, get him out, you know, get him out of your life. Just an absolute fucking he deserves to be shit on from every corner of the MMA world. He is earned to be shit on. No one owes that guy respect, and I will not give him any respect, albeit this is not a big podcast, but I was chomping at the bit to go shitting all over this dickhead all week. He's just a parasite, best word I can use for him, and the sooner he's gone out of the sport the better. Best of luck to Diego Sanchez, and it's a shame that his career has ended like this. I do hope the UFC get him whatever medical help and stuff he needs. I'm sure his body is pretty beat up. It's hard to say whether, you know, Diego Sanchez's mental state is, I don't know, diminishing or something like that, because he's always been a fucking nutcase. He has always been a madman. And that's the thing about this. You would kind of go, oh, this makes sense because, you know, Diego Sanchez is crazy, but it doesn't. Even for a guy as crazy as Diego, this doesn't make sense. This guy in his corner makes no sense. I mean, I would rather see him go down the Mike Perry route and have his girlfriend or wife or fucking raffle off tickets for someone to be in his corner, because this guy is a moron of the highest degree, an absolute fucking parasite. But yeah, he's been shone in the light he deserves to be shone in, and he will. Anyone that works with him, I mean, you're as big a moron as he is. I don't understand why you would even be tempted to work with a guy like that. But just a guy chasing every bit of limelight he can get, you know. Credit to him, he will probably become Instagram famous, or Insta famous as they call it. But fucking moron, get out of MMA, you don't belong in it. Go over and fucking teach women self-defense classes, something like that. That's no offense to women, I'm just saying, you know, there's a big difference between your self-defense classes for women or men to teaching pros in the UFC and in MMA. But he's a bug that needs to be squashed. And he will be. You know, as I said, he's been shown in the light he deserves to be shown in now. And, oh man, fuck that guy. Yeah, so it's a shame. It is just a shame that such a legendary career has come to an end that way. And I certainly hope that Diego does not sign for another crew, another team. I hope he doesn't. I hope retire. I'd love if he got into something else, but unfortunately, I don't know how well Diego will be in terms of podcasting, or might be good in the coaching route, but I don't know who. Like, he doesn't seem to have a good team around him. I would like to see the UFC. I mean, Dana White, I'm not necessarily owes Diego Sanchez, but maybe he owes him. Just to have a word with him, pull him aside, you know, get him involved with someone else, you know, let him do a bit of coaching, something. I don't like the way the Diego Sanchez story is going, that's being honest. I don't like the route it's taken, because it looks like he's got a leech on his back, and he doesn't seem to even care to get it off or not, I don't know. Maybe 2 fucking leeches. That idiot, Stephen Bonner as well, who like I said, I respected. But you think he'd have more sense. But anyway, that's the Diego Sanchez saga. Yeah, so that's everything Diego Sanchez, so enough bitching about that clown. But yeah, look, anyone go check out. My explanation is as best as I can do with the way things have been brought to light. But check it out on check it out on MMA News or any of those websites. It's on ESPN here. But then you get more of a look at guys. Like, check out Joshua Fabi on YouTube. But yeah, check out the videos that Diego has uploaded on his Instagram. You get a good look at what I'm talking about. Doesn't put Diego in a good light by any means, even though he seems to think it does. But yeah, check it out and you'll see what I mean. And you know, if you're a fan of the guy after that, then please do not subscribe to my podcast, because you're not the kind of person I need following me. But moving on, I've done enough ranting about that dickhead. Some somewhat good news. Possibly the return of Mr. Nick Diaz, which to be honest, I wasn't excited to hear it at first, but then I've seen how he looks, and the guy looks in shape. Not to say that he never was. I mean, the Diaz brothers are always in shape. They're always doing some form of fucking training or stuff like that. But I don't know, he looks like he's been working hard. He looks chiseled, and I feel like I wouldn't mind seeing him return. But it's the reason I'm bringing this part up. I do not want him to return against a Khamzat Chimaev or someone like that. That's the name that they're putting out there as a possible matchup from. I don't like that. I mean, for a number of reasons. I mean, Diaz is out for a long time. Like, it's, his last fight was against Anderson Silva. When the fuck was it? I can't remember, but it's been a while. It's been quite a few years, and 2015 was when he last fought. So I mean, it's a long time to be out of MMA, and then come back against Khamzat Chimaev, who's on the rise. I just don't see what it does for either guy. Like, for instance, look at his brother who's fighting Leon Edwards. Now, Leon Edwards is another guy who's on the rise, of course, but Nate Diaz is in the game. He's been in the game a lot more recent than what his brother has, and also, if like Nate has the options of the Conor rematch, the Jorge Masvidal rematch, he has options there. And I mean, the juice is worth the squeeze in the Leon Edwards fight, because if he was to beat Leon Edwards, he would probably jump up, skip the queue for a title shot. So that's worth the squeeze. But with Nick Diaz fighting Chimaev, I don't see it as a good fight. I just think Chimaev is too active, he's too new, he's on the rise. I think give Diaz a shot at, like a Cowboy or I don't know. But I just think, yeah, give him like against another legend, Carlos Condit, Cowboy, Matt Brown. They're the kind of fights to give, and then see how he goes. I mean, I know the UFC is known for not giving these kind of feeler fights or these setups, not necessarily setups, but these easier fights to get guys into. I know they're not known for doing that But Nick Diaz is not a newcomer. He's not a new guy to UFC. You owe it to him. Give it to him, and then you see what you can build off. Like a fight you could do, which I don't really like from either, but again, the juice is worth the squeeze. You could do him versus Jorge Masvidal. Kind of build up the revenge for his brother kind of thing, for the BMF title, something like that. That'd be a fun thing to do. But no, I don't like the Khamzat fight. There's plenty of other fights you can give him there. There's yeah, it says here like maybe a Robbie Lawler as well, which I like. And I said to Carlos Condit, those kind of guys, guys who just let him get his beak wet, as the term is. Let him dip his feet into the MMA world again, get a feel about him. See where you can go from then. If he loses that fight, then you kind of know where he's at. And like the Chimaev fight, what does it do for Chimaev for starters? It's not really a big money fight. I don't see anyway. Like, I'll watch the shit out of it, don't get me wrong, but it's not going to entice a lot of people to watch it. If you did, Robbie Lawler, I like the Robbie Lawler Diaz fight. Not to say that that's going to sell a ton either, but you can build up to selling a ton. Then if you send him in against Chimaev, like, people are going to say, oh, Chimaev beat an old retired Nick Diaz, and if Chimaev loses, they're going to say an old retired Nick Diaz, or Nick Diaz is back, and then give him another. I don't know, but I think relax, give him. I like the idea of a Lawler or a Condit or a Matt Brown, something like that. Would have been a nice Diego Sanchez, only for Sanchez is gone now. I'm glad to hear he's back. It will be interesting to see, but I do think pump the brakes a little bit. Let him ease him back into it. Or if you're going to do a big, give him something, give him a big. If you're going to give him a tough opponent, give him a big money fight. Give him. Yeah, the Jorge Masvidal is probably the one. Masvidal is obviously out of the title picture now, and I'm sure he's looking for these kind of fights. I believe Masvidal has asked for this fight too, so that would be good. But yeah, kind of good to see Diaz back, to be honest. It'd be pretty cool to, just see how he's looking, see how, is he still the same old Nick Diaz. But I'd like to see them, give him some fucking money fights. Let him earn some money. But I've liked some of the videos I've seen lately of his training. He just looks chiseled, he looks light, he looks good. Does look good. And I'm sure the hunger is there. The hunger's got to be there, considering, he's done the training. Another quick thing I wanted to talk about was, because it kind of bounces off this, was I see one of my mates tagged me in something where Chael Sonnen was talking about doing, like, he was asking, was he the only one that cares about the BMF belt? Me, I'm not a big. I like the whole thing they done with the BMF belt, but I think it's only a one-off thing. But then, what I did like was Chael was saying that maybe you could keep it as a kind of like when the UFC, those people around the UFC, around MMA, had spoke about doing a Legends League. Where you could have guys like Nick Diaz or your Carlos Condit, your guys who were coming towards the end of it but still had star power. But you could do like a BMF tournament, which would be cool. And obviously only certain guys could enter in it. Like, you'd have your, obviously Masvidal being the champ. I still think Masvidal is not at that stage yet, but of course he holds the BMF belt, so you'd have to include him. But you get your, like I said, your Matt Browns, your Carlos Condit, your Robbie Lawlers, your Cowboy, whoever you want to step in there, and you could do like a BMF tournament. It would be entertaining as fuck, let's be honest. It would put, like, obviously you get guys who fall under the BMF, the bad motherfucker category, which all of them do. I mean, you cannot argue that. Nick Diaz, Matt Brown, Robbie Lawler, Carlos Condit, Donald Cerrone, if I didn't say him already. Those guys all BMFs. Make a nice little tournament out of a few of those guys. Maybe throw in one or two more from wherever. Be fun. Let's be honest. It'd be fun. I thought it was a cool thing that Chael said, and would be a nice idea. Over the space of however many months, do a tournament and have two guys then fight, and you could always keep the BMF belt for that. Every couple of years do it, or every year if you wanted to do it. You could do it once a year. Do the BMF tournament, but only like guys who are kind of in that area to where they're not really challenging for a title, but they're not really falling out of the fans, support, they still have a following behind them. It'd be fun, I think. It would be a cool thing to do. I quite like that idea. But again, no like legit welterweight title contenders fighting for it. Like, you can't have some guy, like, if I could, I would pull Masvidal out of there. But at the same time, Masvidal is still, like, he's a long way away from a title shot now. But he still is a big enough name. So if he wants to be a stepping stone, probably not. So I suppose you could put him in there for that sense. But yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. It'd be a lot of fun to see that. Just those guys, those BMFs who were, like I said, floating towards their retirement, but still can put on a performance. Yeah, I think it'd be fun. I don't see it happening at all, but I just think it would be a fun thing to do for the BMF. I think it's a great way to use that belt, great way, and it's guaranteed you will get. I think you get a lot of support behind it. But good to see Nick Diaz back. It's fun to see, and that's, yeah, hopefully they give him the fights I was talking about. They haven't really said to when. He's supposed to be back this year, but they haven't said they haven't put down any dates or anything like that, so we'll see. But does look in shape and he looks fit. I think Mike Perry had posted a video of bumping into him. It looked good. It's actually a little side note as well, Mike Perry had shared a video about supposedly, he shared the video of meeting Nick Diaz, and then he shared a video of, like, afterwards, and talking to the camera, kind of saying how things are not good, that he's getting a lot of pain in his sciatic nerve, and that his girlfriend has left him, and it's another little thing that I find worrying. You never know with Mike Perry because he's so fucking nuts. But yeah, hopefully Perry's okay. I don't like the idea when he's talking about his girlfriend having left him, and because, as I'm sure a lot of people know, he has his kind of issues outside the cage and stuff like that. So I like Mike Perry, and hopefully that's all going well. But that's it for this week, folks, on our MMA recap. Little side note as well is apologies for the routine has been a little upset this week and last week, for a number of reasons. Last week I had lost my voice after the UFC Sunday, so we had to delay the video, and as you know, we didn't really have a recap. We just put it in with the Paddy and the Pommy podcast together. So, and this week we're a little delayed because, of course, now we have videos to get out from last week. So back into routine next week, hopefully. Yeah, hope you're all doing well, as I've said. Hope you're all finally getting to enjoy some ease in the restrictions around the world, wherever you may be, but in particular back home in Ireland. I know they are finally easing some stuff back there, so I'm delighted for you guys, and hopefully you can make the best of it. Maybe this is finally a bit of light at the end of what's been an annoying tunnel for a lot of people, in particular back home, as I said. But anyway, please guys, I know I keep saying it, please like the video, share the video. Most importantly, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. For those of you that don't know it, listen, it costs you nothing. It's not going to be, you're not going to be bombarded with videos or notifications or anything like that. It just simply gives me a new subscriber and up in my numbers. So please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I hope you've been enjoying the content so far. And as I've always said, and I will always say, we're always working on new stuff, plenty of new stuff on the way, plenty of ideas, been worked on. Takes time, but we will get there, and the videos, we will have heaps more content, as I've always said as well. Anyone out there that has any ideas or something they're working on that they want to hit me up and work with me on or whatever, or basically hit me up. I'm open, always open to any ideas. I welcome them, and if it's something I don't like, I'll just say fuck off. No, I'll just say, you know what I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. So any ideas, hit me up. Any suggestions, any feedback, whatever you got. But most importantly, please subscribe, and please keep supporting us. We're loving this shit, and plenty more to come. Thank you guys. Have a good day, night, evening, here, whatever. Go grab that day.